Welcome to Through the Bible. Today, we're diving into the book of Numbers. This is the book where Israel's the hard way that the wilderness between Egypt and Canaan isn't just a place on a map. It's a crucible for faith. And it leads to a totally unexpected 40-year detour. So, let's get into it. You know, while the name makes you think it's all about counting people, Numbers is really about what happens to a nation's faith when it gets tested. And I mean really tested, in the middle of a vast, intimidating wilderness. So the English title Numbers actually comes from two big censuses that kind of act like bookends for the whole story. And when you put them side by side, they present this fascinating puzzle. Okay, so at the start, you've got over 600,000 men ready to march in and conquer the Promised Land. But then you fast forward almost 40 years, and the number is almost identical. So you have to ask, what changed? Well, the answer is everything, because an entirely new generation was now standing in their place. You know, the original Hebrew name for the book, Bimidbar, really gets us closer to the main point. It literally means in the wilderness. And that's perfect, because that's where this entire story of testing, failure, and ultimately transformation takes place. So here's the scene. Israel is standing right at the edge of Canaan. They're organized, they're ready for victory, but they come to this absolutely catastrophic turning point. One single moment that is going to define their entire generation. So Moses sends out 12 spies, one from each tribe, to go check out the land. They're gone for 40 days, and what they say when they get back is going to determine the fate of everyone. 10 of the spies come back, and their report is just dripping with fear. Sure, they saw the good land, but all they could focus on were the fortified cities and, well, the giants. Their conclusion, conquest is impossible. Why? Because in their own minds, they were already defeated, just little grasshoppers. But then you've got the other two spies, Joshua and Caleb. They saw the exact same land, the same cities, the same people, and they came back with a completely different report. They saw the challenges, yeah, but their focus was on God's power and his promise to give them the victory. It was the same set of facts, but a totally different kind of faith. So, who do the people believe? They choose to go with the fearful report. They rebel against God, they rebel against Moses. And the consequence? It's just devastating. 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, 1 year for each day the spies were gone, until that entire faithless generation dies out. But here's the thing. This time isn't just wasted punishment. Not at all. The wilderness actually becomes a kind of divine classroom. God uses this season to teach some really hard, unforgettable lessons through some very painful events. For instance, through Kora's rebellion, they learn that God's leadership isn't a democracy, it's divinely appointed. Through Moses' own disobedience, when he strikes the rock, they see that even the greatest leaders aren't above God's law. And through Balaam, they learn that God can use even a pagan prophet to speak a blessing, proving that his purpose can't be stopped. One of the most powerful lessons comes from a really strange incident. The people start complaining again. So God sends venomous snakes as judgment, but then he provides a remedy, and it's weird. A bronze serpent on a pole. The solution wasn't some complex ritual. It was just this. Look in faith at what God provided, and you'll be healed. So after nearly 4 decades of these tough lessons out there in the wilderness, that original faithless generation has passed away, and now it is finally time for a new beginning with a new generation. And this brings us right back to that second census, which is just this powerful testament to God's faithfulness. A brand new generation, one that was forged in the fire of the wilderness, is counted, and they now stand ready at the Jordan River, poised to inherit the promise that their parents threw away because of unbelief. But the story of Numbers doesn't just end in the past, right? It points so powerfully towards something in the future, and it holds a message that is absolutely vital for us today. In fact, Jesus himself made a direct connection between his crucifixion and that bronze serpent. He basically said, hey, you know how the Israelites had to look up at that serpent to be saved from physical death? Well, that's what you need to do with me. You need to look to me, lifted up on the cross, in faith, for eternal life. Wow. So what can we take away from Numbers? Well, for one, our perspective, whether we see giants or we see God, matters more than we can imagine. Unbelief has real, devastating consequences. But God's faithfulness, it endures even when we fail. And maybe most importantly, those difficult wilderness seasons in our own lives, they're not pointless. They are God's training ground for developing a deeper dependence on Him. And so the book of Numbers really leaves us with this huge, critical question. It challenges us to look at our own lives, at our own fears, and our own giants, and ask ourselves, what's my report going to be? Am I focused on the obstacles, or am I focused on the God who makes the promises? Well, we really hope this explainer on the book of Numbers was helpful for you. If you want more deep dives like this, please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. God bless you as you continue your study. It's the